So let me just get this straight. Many years ago, Cameron Wurf was an Olympic rower, and then he was a World Tour professional cyclist, and then he was a professional Ironman distance triathlete, and now he is both a World Tour professional cyclist and an Ironman distance professional triathlete, finishing 11th at the Kona Ironman World Championships last year. Are you going to leave some sport for the rest of us, Cam, or what? Anyway, at the time of recording, this weekend, Cam is going to be racing Ironman South Africa, having just finished the UAE Arab Emirates Tour, racing for the Ineos Grenadiers. Now, the UAE Tour is a 7-day stage race, and it's no joke. Crosswinds, some hilltop finishes, a team time trial, riding for one of the best World Tour teams in the world. This would not have been an easy feat. So thanks to the wonders of Strava, I thought it'd be quite interesting to have a look at Cam's training just in the lead up to the UAE Tour and then during the UAE Tour, where I'm assuming he's trying to train like a triathlete whilst also racing like a bike rider. Let's get stuck in. Now, I am no scientific training expert, however, I have done an Ironman or two, and I've got a YouTube channel, and that's basically the same thing, isn't it? So, let's delve in. Okay, so the resources we're going to be using for this very scientific exercise is Cameron's Strava, Cameron's Instagram, which he's very active on, and also an interview that Cam did on the cycling news page. All worth a follow. Please do check them out. I'll leave all the links in the description down below. Okay, so Strava has this handy comparison where you can look at the last 4 weeks of activity that an athlete's done. So let's have a quick look at that to give us a bit of an idea as to how much Cam's training. It does include the UAE Tour, so bear that in mind, but let's have a look. It's also me on the right hand side of the column, so perhaps don't look too much into those numbers. So let's start with the bulk of the work then. So in the last 4 weeks, Cam's averaged 6 rides a week, 414 miles a week, nearly 30,000 feet, and 21 hours of ride time. That is quite a lot, and he's done quite a lot of riding this year. Running over the last 4 weeks. Now, he hasn't done a huge amount of running, and I'm assuming all of his running is on Strava. He does seem to post everything, but that is a decent amount of running, especially if he's hitting the bike really hard and doing loads of bike volume. And again, swimming, he's doing a decent amount of swimming there. Now, I don't know if that's good enough to be a top-end elite professional triathlete, but it's a good amount. Okay, so 2 weeks out from the UAE Tour, so 3 weeks ago, I'm going to flick through Cameron's training here. I'm not going to go into any one session too deeply. He's doing a lot of bike riding, obviously, doing a fair bit of running and swimming, but to me, it looks like he's training like a cyclist. He's doing a lot of climbing. It looks like his riding's on road bikes, motor pacing. To me, and I know nothing, this is training like a World Tour cyclist, just with some running and swimming around that. If we go into the week leading up to the UAE Tour, it looks like he's backed off training a little bit, but not really a huge amount. He's still doing some running, still doing a fair amount of bike mileage. He's probably lifted his foot off the gas enough to be able to perform at a race, but not enough to actually gather too much freshness. So then here we go, let's get stuck into the race week at the UAE Tour. Now, Cameron has unfortunately stopped sharing his power stats on Strava. Maybe it's a rule that Ineos have got, I don't know. However, I did reach out to him for comment as to how intense the stage race was, and he said to me, not any more intense than having to tow Joe Skipper around the Kona Ironman World Championships last year, so can't be that hard. Right, so let's have a quick look at this news article in which he was interviewed by Cycling News and asked a little bit about the UAE Tour. This will give us a bit of an idea about the numbers that we're going to see in a second. So, I don't know about here being a triathlete yet, we've just covered that. So, Cam spoke to Cycling News before stage 5. Before stage 5, I've been swimming for an hour in the morning, and then it was the climbing stage. That was pretty solid too. He spent 100k on the front on his own, and then for another hour he had a little bit of help from one other person. That was a solid day. Then he went for a run afterwards. Team time trial day. This is probably the thing that's most up Cam's street, isn't it? He volunteered to be ahead of the leader, Luke Plapp, in the Ineos Grenadiers line. Now, what that means is if he's ahead of the team leader, he's got to protect that rider, really hold the wheel really well. And when he pulls off after his turn, the team leader, who Luke Plapp is a very strong time trialist, it's going to be really hard for Cam to get back on that line. So he's more likely to be dropped than any other rider because of that surge in pace. At the time, Cam's just peeled off after taking a very hard turn. So I think he's volunteering himself there as uses the words in the article, a glutton for punishment. But it reads like he did okay. He also talks a little bit how the 7-day stage races aren't as bad for taking time out of training than the 1-day races are, because you lose so much time with the travel. Whereas a 7-day race, yes, you lose a bit of time for the travel, but then you get a good block of training as well. So that's quite interesting. Let's have a quick flick on his Strava. Some cool pictures there, only a couple from the team time trial day and from the last stage of the race. you can see this is the sort of role Cam plays. He's you know, he's a workhorse, he's a domestique, he's getting people in the right positions, he's closing gaps, he's working for the riders. He'll be going back to the team car for bottles, all those sorts of things. So you won't see him winning a bike race, but that doesn't mean that he's not put a lot of work in. Let's have a look at his stats. Okay, so the 20th of February was the morning of the first stage, and we can see here just after 8 a.m. Cam has ran 31 minutes, just under 6.5 minute miling. Now Cam will run an Ironman at that sort of pace, so that isn't that intense. That's just a half an hour leg stretch, getting a little bit of run volume in. I can see why you do something like that. And then early afternoon, so at 1 o'clock, he's then started the first stage. There's quite a few hours there in between those, isn't there? A good 4 hours or so. You can bet your bottom dollar he'll have had his feet up, he might have had a massage, he'll be eating loads, you know, he'll be recovering after that. And I don't think that would have had too much effect on him. Obviously it's not optimal. You'd be better performing if you don't run half an hour before a World Tour stage, but he's probably going to be okay. The actual ride itself now, as I said, there's not really much point me looking into this too much because there's no data on there other than speed. Well, it's just that might be pretty much it. Speed, cadence, and temperature. So not really a huge amount for us to go on. The speed's affected a lot by the terrain and the wind and so on. So I think the best thing to look at here is the overall time. So Cam's running for 3.5 hours. And some of that will have been intense and some of that won't have been. So there we go, 3.5 hours, and in 3.5 hours he's done 94 miles. And the emojis signify that it's windy, so I would assume that is a day where there was a lot of crosswinds. I did catch bits of the footage and I could see there was a lot of echelons and things, so he's probably put quite a lot of work in there. So on to stage 2, and this is team time trial day. So this ride here, it looks like it's a recce ride that have gone around the course on TT bikes, getting to know all the corners, etc. And then later in the day, they've done the actual effort. Now that's only a very short effort, 22 minutes, but that will have been hard, and we know from Cam's interview that he took a difficult position in that line and has worked pretty hard and contributed a lot to that team. You can also see things like on his Instagram post from that day, you know, Luke Plapp commented on it saying something like, you know, very happy Plappy, thank you King. So he's obviously put some work in there, hasn't he? He's not just along for the ride, he is contributing to that work, so that would have been a good day out. Now, pro cyclists, you know, used to going very hard, so that probably won't have been that tough a day. That might have actually put them in a better place recovery-wise than the day before, because the only hard bit is 20 minutes of riding. On to stage 3, a bit longer now. We can see a picture on Strava there. Cam is on the front of the group, and this is the day that I think he said he spent 100k on the front. So that would have been a tough day, 5.25 hours. The things that we can't account for are things like heat, tiredness, fatigue, stress of being in a race environment on the team radios and so on. That will have been quite a tough day, and it does look like it was. But again, 5 hours on the bike, it's not actually a huge day. It will just have been quite intense. And then after that, of course, he's done a brick run. Now again, it's a little bit quicker than these run before stage 1, but it's still only just over half an hour. I don't think he's silly enough to be doing brick runs when he's absolutely on his knees, so it's more than likely that once he's done his job in that bike race, he will have coasted in the gruppetto or sat at the back or something. Like, he wouldn't have been working flat out to the line. He's not a lead out man, I don't think, so he might have been feeling pretty okay, and just tapping in another half an hour run just helps keep that run specific fitness there, so that's good. First swim of the UAE Tour, you don't hear that very often, do you? On the morning of stage 3, so Cam swam for 47 minutes, nothing too fast, but again, he's probably just turning the arms over, just keeping a feel for the water, so that's good to see. That was at 8 a.m, and then again, the stage started at 12:30. So again, he's got a good break there, hasn't he? It's not like he's just going from one thing to the next. And that was 4 hours in total. There's quite a lot of twists and turns on that course. I bet it was quite surgy in places. But yeah, again, 4 hours on the pedals. I bet it was quite tough because it's pretty flat, isn't it? And he's obviously got a job to do, but I think that looks okay. Day 5 and stage 5, another swim in the morning. So he's come to there, the only dude out there running and swimming before and after the tour. I bet he is. Legend. Another 47-minute swim. That again looks like he's not doing anything too intense. That's a similar pace to what I swim, so I'm sure he'll have been taking it pretty cruisy. He has got a job to do in this race, but again, ticking off another swim. Stage 5, another big mileage day, but again, not an actual huge amount of time on the pedals. 4 hours and 7 minutes. As we said earlier, he probably had a job to do, but yeah, 4 hours on the bike is good. And then he must have felt good because again, he's done another brick run. Again, just over half an hour, around 6.5 minute miling, but just another little run. That's 15 miles he's ran so far during the UAE Tour. Fair play. Stage 6, day 6, another 4 hour day on the bike. He hasn't done anything in the morning on day 6, and The race did start at 11:35, so maybe the earlier start just made him not do that, or perhaps he's, we've seen up to yet, he's been alternating his bike and swim, so maybe he's just taking this day as now the fatigue's building, he's going to be backing off a little bit just to make sure that he can still do his job, like he's there to do a roll. He can't, I don't think he'll be able to say, oh, I've been for a run, sorry guys, you'll have to sort yourselves out today. That's probably not an option. And then the day of stage 7, again, it started around lunchtime, but he hasn't trained in the morning. The fatigue is going to build, and again, we've seen there, he's on the front again. That looks like a similar picture to the last one, actually. So he's probably looked at the parcours and how the team are doing overall and what his role is going to be that day, and he might have had to prioritise that ride over another bit of training. Maybe he would have liked to get another bike or swimming then, but as I said, that is his job, and that was the final stage. After that final stage, he did then run 10 miles at that same pace. So I'm thinking that pace for running for Cam is pretty sustainable. It's probably a zone 2 pace. It's not actually that difficult, but he's been able to do an hour run after that. With him being on a treadmill, he's probably able to control the climate pretty well. If they're in some swanky hotel, they've probably got aircon, etc. So I don't doubt that he's not pulling himself into the ground by doing that. But yeah, really interesting. And then following that, he is then obviously traveling to South Africa, and we'll be doing some training there. Where is he now? The next day, he's had a little run around, still in Dubai, and then a swim as well. So I don't know when he's traveling. I'm recording this on the 28th of February, so he's only got a few days to get over to South Africa and get settled in and registered and racked and all of that. But that to me looks like it might be a bit of a pre-travel run and swim, and then he might be traveling then. And it wouldn't surprise me if he takes a few days off the bike, because he'll have got a good block in there. He's only a few days away from the race, and I hope he absolutely smashes it. We've got some tough competition at Ironman South Africa, Rasmus Svenningston, Alistair Brownlee, to name but a few. So good luck, Cam. Love it. I hope that's been an interesting insight into Cam Wurf's training in the lead up to Ironman South Africa. Cam, please put your power back on Strava so I can do more of this sort of thing. Have a great race. If you haven't already, please do hit the subscribe button down below. That's to all of you, not just to Cam. And I'll see you again very soon. Thanks, bye.